Hi and welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Lorena. So in today's video I am going to be talking about the 10 classics that I'd like to read in 2021. I have 5 already and there's 5 that I don't own yet, but I will be looking to purchase and read at some point in 2021. I'm not going to talk too much about each book because, well, they're classics, so most people do know what they're about, and also I already filmed this and it was not good, and I'd like to get this filmed, edited and up today. So if you're watching it today on Sunday the 17th of January, that means I managed to do what I wanted to do. So without further ado, I'm going to get into my list. Now the first one is Anna Karenina, and that's by Leo Tolstoy. Now I know there is a sticker on here, but I tried taking it off and it was peeling the cover and it's really annoying me. So let's just ignore that. So this is a Russian classic. As you can see, it is pretty big. It's like around about 800 pages. So and it was published in the late 1800s, and actually the majority of books on this list I think were all kind of published in the 1800s at some point. So this follows our main character Anna, and she is a married woman, and she is, I think, part of like the wealthy society in St. Petersburg, and she has an affair with I can't remember what his name is, and which causes scandal throughout the social circles in St. Petersburg. So the both of them end up fleeing to Italy to try and find some happiness, and I believe they do return back to Russia, and when they do, their lives further unravel. And that's about all I know about this book, but it sounds really interesting to me. I've never read a Russian classic and I would really like to. I do believe in Russian classics there are a lot of characters, so that's going to be interesting to see if I can actually keep up and follow along with them, because I'm sure there's a character list in this. Maybe I'm making that up. I'm sure I saw a character list. Anyway, so this is the first one on my list. Might not be the first one that I actually pick up. Next on my list is Don Quixote by Cervantes, and this is considered, I think, cited as like one of the first modern novels in the Western world, and is kind of what's shaped what our novels are like. It was written in 2 parts, 1605 and 1615. So this will be like the oldest classic I've ever read, whenever I do get to it. Again, it's pretty big. I think again it's around 800 pages, so it will take me a while to get through. So what I know about this novel is it follows a nobleman who reads too many kind of chivalrous romances, and he ends up losing his mind, and he decides to become like a knight, and he decides to become a knight to kind of revive chivalry. I can't say that word, and I think at the time it was written that was considered a little bit old-minded at the time as well, and he ends up hiring a farmer, like a simple farmer, to be his squire, and it just sounds like it might be a little bit funny, you know, which when you think about reading a book that's that old, you don't think of that, but I think there'll be some fun moments in there. It sounds like it's like adventures, and yeah, it'll be really good to read what's considered kind of the first modern novel, and actually I think it's the second most translated book in the world after the Bible. So yes, looking forward to that. Then I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Classic monster gothic novel. When I hear Frankenstein, I think of those images, you know, of the monster that's green and has like bolts sticking out his neck, which I don't think is actually what the creature or monster in this actually looks like. So just briefly, it's about a scientist called Victor Frankenstein, and he creates a creature in some sort of unorthodox scientific experiment. And obviously it's about him creating the creature, and then I think whatever happens post that. Is a gothic novel, like I said. It's written in the 1800s again, I think 1818 I want to say, and Mary Shelley actually was 18 when she wrote it. But yeah, it's a classic gothic monster story. I'm actually looking forward to actually reading the original kind of Frankenstein, because like I said, I've just seen those images but don't know the actual full original story. So that will be really interesting. It's not too big like the other ones, it's only a couple hundred pages, but the writing does seem a bit small, so I don't think it's as easy as it might seem. Then we have the other classic monster gothic horror novel, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. Again, I think it's in the late 1800s this one's written. So it follows Count Dracula, obviously, and then there's also a lawyer, Jonathan Harker. He's an English lawyer who visits Count Dracula in his, I think it's a mansion or castle, in Transylvania, to help him to purchase a property in England. So he's obviously, as you know, he's a vampire. This obviously involves vampires, and I think strange things must happen. So yeah, that's pretty much the kind of what I know about the plot. But yeah, I want to read the other kind of monster book, classic. Yes, I'm wanting to read this now towards the end of January, early February, or if I don't read it then, I'm going to read it October for like classic horror vibes, you know. But I'm looking forward to it, and it is not too big either. It's about 400 pages, and yeah, I look forward to letting you know how much I like this one. So that was book number 4 and book number 5, and the last one that I actually currently own, and that is Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, which is like, I think, one of her most famous out of all of her novels, and it's a classic that's cited as people's most loved quite often. So it follows Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, like the most famous romance couple ever, and it's their love story, and they misjudge each other, you know, and it's this following their love story, so it's kind of a little bit of enemies to lovers type story. I've never read the book before. Actually, I've never read any of these, this is why they're on my list, but I have seen a few different adaptations, so I know the story, as probably many of you do, but I'm actually looking forward to reading it. I did attempt to read it when I was younger, and I didn't get very far with it. I just think it wasn't the time, whereas I am reading a lot more classics now, and yes, I'm really enjoying them, so that I'm looking forward to that. Then the next one, which will be book number 6 on this list, it is Emma by Jane Austen. It is the last Jane Austen book on this one, and Emma is, like, I think one of Jane Austen's most kind of captivating and vivid characters. She is clever, she is rich, and she is beautiful, and she sees no need for her to have to marry. But she loves to interfere with other people's love lives, and kind of match makes a little bit until one of her plans goes wrong, and there's some consequences that she didn't foresee happening. So that's the basic plot of it, and yeah, Emma isn't obviously a character that you would traditionally kind of expect in the 1800s, you know. It was very much expected that women got married at that time, so that'd be quite interesting to read. Next one on my list is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and it is the youngest classic on my list because it was written in 1938, and it follows an unnamed woman who marries this wealthy widower, only to discover, I think after the wedding and she moves in with him, that him and his household are still haunted by haunted by the memory of his first wife, Rebecca, who is the title of the book. And again, that's kind of, as much as I know Netflix released an adaptation of a film adaptation last year, which I haven't watched yet, and I would like to watch it, but I'll wait until I've read the book. Also, with this one, there are some pretty stunning covers out there that I've seen, so I want to try and get one of those because I love a good cover. Love it. Then the next one on my list is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Again, it was written in the late 1800s, and it follows the four March sisters from like childhood into womanhood and kind of what their lives are like at that time, and it is loosely based actually on Louisa May Alcott's life and her three sisters' lives as well. And it is, yeah, it's a really famous classic. A lot of people were reading it like last year because that's when the new adaptation came out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. It's one of those ones that I remember picking up, reading it, but I can't remember if I ever finished it, because this, I'm talking like years ago, like early teens, I think, that I picked it up, and I can't remember if I ever actually finished it. So I'd like to know for sure if I've fully read it and I have enjoyed it as well. And then number 9 on this list is Mrs. Dalloway, and that is by Virginia Woolf, and it details the day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway, a woman in high society in post-World War One. So yeah, it just details this one day of hers, and it just sounds really interesting because there isn't that many novels. Well, I mean, there's quite a few out there, but you don't often get a novel that just follows such a small period of time. So I think that'll be really interesting to read, and it's also on the Rory Gilmore list, and I think most of these are actually. So that'll be quite good to help me with that goal of reading 20 books on that list this year. And then finally, my last book is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So this, I'm not going to read it until December. I wanted to read it in December just gone, but I never got around to buying it, and I just didn't have time. I was reading other books, doing other things. So I definitely want to read it this coming December, which means I won't be able to complete this goal until December. And yeah, I'm sure everyone knows what A Christmas Carol is about. Everyone's probably seen about 5 different adaptations of it, but as you know, it follows Ebenezer Scrooge, who gets visited by 3 Christmas ghosts in order to try and help him change his ways, and that's pretty much it to explain it. These are my 10 classics that I want to read in 2021. Let me know if you read any of them, what you actually think, and if there's any other classics that you recommend, or there's ones you're wanting to read this year. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.